Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel as you see in the thumbnail. This is part 2 of What If Juubi Naruto x Kaguya in High School DxD. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe and also go and support the author, link in description. It's been a month since the day Yahweh asked him for a favor, and since then, the days of one Naruto Uzumaki is not so peaceful anymore. Each faction decided to be more daring, sending their army little by little, even angels, much to the white-haired primordial confusion. In which Naruto asks to visiting Yahweh at one time, and it's rather hilarious seeing a god having a jaw drop, though sensing the bubbly sadness in the god heart, Naruto decide to resist his urge to laugh. Anyway, it was hard, pushing all of these creatures, with him cannot control his deity's power that much. Add the fact he needs to keep his identity concealed and cannot use any Baijuya power, lest he will be suspected as a yokai from Kyoto. No way he let the innocent creatures in this Kyoto got targeted because of him. It's a true challenge for him. Though, Kaguya had been the one more furious, with her Naru time is cut off by large margin. By the time 10th days has passed with Naruto keep going out again and again, the moon goddess is going by herself. It's a massacre, with no one left alive, unlike with Naruto that, make sure everyone is only passed out. The little deity sulking that day, and despite Kaguya persistence words and promises, saying she won't do it again, it's not until the evening that Naruto in the end forgave her. After that promise in question, Naruto let Kaguya face off against the armies from 3 factions, with him only do the minority to improve on his newly power. Don't any of you weakling dare trespass my ground or face the consequences from me, the primordial. His slight prankster heart is still there. Naruto makes sure to shout that in creepy voice every time he defeated a group of armies. This, actually is a good tactic as the numbers of armies going are largely reduced in numbers since the new Juubi do that. After all, a primordial, is a being that is far more powerful than God themselves. Known primordial is many, but most are asleep, or just didn't care about such a trivial matter like a feeble war of 3 factions. So knowing one stopping them from doing war, devils, fallens and part of angels can do nothing except swallowed their saliva in fear and retreated, for the time being. XXXXXX, break, XXXXXX. Naruto and Kaguya house. There's not so much things has changed, except for some new chairs and desk in the middle room and some chairs outside if Naruto ever wants to relax and let himself closer with nature. Few times, God of Bible is coming over, surprisingly did not talk about his own faction that much, instead just a small talk about the weather and Naruto condition. He even talked about the human that he made and how he sees their potential, despite weak if compared to other being. It need to be added that when Yahweh talked about human in general, he would always talk in rather passionate and excited tone, unlike his usual calm persona. He must be really proud of his own creation so much, Naruto concluded. Though the former blonde also cannot help but agree at the Yahweh enthusiasm, as the boy himself also found that human here can do many great things, without any chakra. So after many times they talked with each other and found out they have the same fondness for humans, it is safe to call these two a rather good friends. And this day also one of these times that God come over for chats and drinks. Ah, such a nice day, isn't it, Naruto? Yahweh said with a happy sigh. On his hand is a cup of tea that just now he took a sip. He really loved atmosphere like this. Yeah, Naruto said as he takes a slurp of his own tea, sighed after that, feeling close with nature at the moment, though sadly, I felt that the storm is going to come with how silent the 3 factions right now. Yahweh can't help but nod sadly here, also knew that the 3 factions would never stop until they destroy the other 2 and be the last to survive. His heaven is same, even with the nice silent, the threatening holy aura that coming out from his children cannot be concealed. To think his children can do such a thing. I know, that's why I won't delay it anymore and give these 2 to you now. While saying that, Yahweh placed a sword and a ring on top of the desk, getting raised eyebrow from Naruto, knowing what's the sword already. The sword appears to have a grip long enough to make it a two-handed sword with a round pommel at the end. It also has a gold-colored crossguard that is slightly curved forward. As for the ring, it appears like a plain black ring to Naruto, with some unknown marking glowed for a second, and after it's gone, back into the ring. Excalibur ruler, you seriously would give it to me, Yahweh? Ignoring the ring for now, Naruto grabbed one of Excalibur pieces, holding it like amateur he is in a sword department, but still with care. You know I rather talk with my fists rather with a blade, I'm bad with them. The whitehead added before Yahweh can even say a word, getting the god for a millisecond have a twitch eyebrow, though immediately covered it with his small smile. Yes, Excalibur ruler is no use if what we want is peace, so I give it to you, along with this ring. Glanced at the ring in question, Naruto stared at it for a long 5 seconds without blinking, as if with that glance he can figure out what kind of godly item is this ring. 5 seconds later, Naruto puffed his cheeks in adorable manner that would trigger one rabbit goddess inner desire if she ever see it, which, fortunately, the goddess in question isn't near at the time. I don't have any idea what is this. Already guessed as much, Yewo let out a dry chuckle with sweat drop on the side of his head. Naruto is Naruto, the god learned this when he knew the little primordial. This ring. Yewo began, pointed at the ring in question. You could say it's the ring that is used by most gods or goddess these days to conceal their deity aura. It also can act as limiter for deity and let them lower their power into their preferred power, and lastly, it can change the wearer's appearance, though this is mostly for gods that didn't have a human appearance. Looked at the black ring in question, Naruto blinked several times. Limit deity aura and lowering their power level. Seriously. The boy also said it with deadpan look, as if his image about gods broke like a fragile glass at that sentence. Not noticed this yet, Yahweh nodded seriously, his eyes narrowed behind that mask of him. Yes. As you maybe already know, gods didn't like to meddling in mortal problem that much, but they do interested in humans, that the reason they create this ring, to mingle with humans and live among them. Another sweat drop, honestly. He heard about this already. Some gods only mingle among humans to sate their own lust, for example, is Zeus, making child here and there, as demigods popped left and right cause of him. Noticed what's on the mind of his friend, Yahweh chuckled nervously, feeling embarrassed for the fellow gods. I'm sure. They have their own reasons. Naruto wanted to believe the silver et of course, but how can he if Yahweh himself weren't even sure by his own words? Well. Not my problem I guess. By no mean, Naruto didn't mean to be a rude person, but there have been just so much things happen to him in these months and he, currently still trying to catch up with them all, add the fact he needs to digest so many information about this world too. It's so tiring, mind you. Understanding he is, Yewa just smiled at his friend. Anyway, with that ring you shouldn't have problem to conceal your deity aura, though if I may suggest, you should try to find another aura concealing artifact. Cause yours is abyssal huge Naruto. Naruto only sweat drop at his friend's words, seriously. Sure, he knew that his chakra is abysmal, but surely it's not that huge right? Yes, yes it is. Come a dryly respond from the god of Bible after he decipher the boy expression. The two just laughed together after that, and then chatting like always, not caring for any war that the three sides have made for the moment. XXXXXXXX break XXXXXXXX. Underworld. Underworld. Most people would mistake it for hell, however, it was far from the truth. Well. Not that far off though. The sky itself is dark, as if so late at night, thick black miasma coming and disperse from the dark ground, as if it was a plague that cannot be cured by any mean. But despite the underworld look like this, there is a city in it, a rather grandeur city too if one may add. And in this city, group of human-like creature, but with bat wings attached to their back can be seen, some talking with each other, some focus at the podium where one devil doing his speech, and some just stared at the ground. It was so close, within our grasp. The victory, so devils, don't let your sadness for your family dimmed away. Use it to fuel your anger to kill the angels and fallen angels. Our people are not so we dash. Damn them. Our focus this time, is about one young-looking male, maybe around 20 from his appearance alone, and currently he is tightening his palm so hard that it turned white, his eyes glaring down at innocent ground. He hates them. He hates these angels and fallens that taking his family member from him, but the one he hated most is they who send his families in the first place. Call him childish, call him to put the blame on the wrong person, but he really hates his own kind generals and leaders, simply because they are the one that send his family to wars. It's same like his 3 best friends. One of these friends calmly pat his back, hearing his curse. I'm sorry for your loss, Surtsk, we all going to miss Uncle Albert. Pang of hurt stabbed the male called Surtsk at the remembrance that his uncle is not among the living anymore. He held strong though, or he is going to be seen as weak devil. I'm okay, thanks Ajuka. The green-haired male called Ajuka then took a glance at the girl beside him, her cold and uncaring face rather unnerved him, but he knew she didn't mean any harm, they know each other since kids after all. I'm sorry for your aunt too, Sirafal. Sirafal in question just kept her uncaring and cold face, then glancing at her friend coldly. You don't need to, just tell us the plan you said yesterday. It was no secret that their parents is hoping for other children to pamper, as the 4 is too old to be pampered anymore. But, with this war, what kind older sibling want their younger born in the middle of this situation? None, and that's why, since few days ago the 4 began to scheme a plan to stop this war. Well, talking about 4 scheming teen, the 4th one is still standing behind Ajuka, eyes closed, though unnoticed because his hair's covering it. His snores can be heard by other 3 though, making Ajuka and Surtsk deadpanned. Sirafal is not so kind to this, as with magic, she conjures a puddle of cold water, then splash it directly on the 4th teen head. Fwaa. Spluttered water that comes inside his nose and mouth, the tall teen glared at Sirafal with his bored-looking black orbs, which she returns with her monotone eyes. That was uncalled for, Sirafal. You're sleeping, it's your fault, Falbium. But you can wake me up with another way. Ignoring the 2 that began to bicker with each other, Ajuka smiles at Surtsk, sweat drop at the side of his head. Should we stop them? Nah. Surtsk shrugged, knowing these 2 would come to their sense in time. Tell me your plan. Ajuka just nodded, eyes narrowed. I'm thinking we should ask. When he suspended his words, Ajuka already got the attention of his 3 friends. They leaned forward, except Sirafal that just sharpened her ears. Ask who? Surtsk is the one asking that, but Ajuka just looking around, then tilted his head to the road. Let's go to my house, we talk on the way. It was at this time, the 3 realized that many devils already gathering to hear the devil in the podium speech. So giving Ajuka some nods, they followed him to his house. Several minutes later, when the group didn't see that much high-class devils anymore, Ajuka whispered softly. The one I mean is the primordial, I think we should ask for his aid. His 3 friends didn't show it, but he knows their mind actually goes into disbelief for several seconds, and as a friend, he understands why. Primordial is an unknown entity, no information about him/her, not even the tiniest bit. But no matter how much he thinks, this is the only way to stop the war, or at least, protect their families. But Ajuka, from what I heard from them who survive, primordial are rather malicious. Ajuka glanced at Surtsk that said it, his lips slightly tugged upward in an amusing manner. Primordial themselves never killed any of our people, except 2 weeks ago, and that's 2 is not that big of a loss, only a few hundreds. Why do you think that? Surtsk scratched his cheek, the red-haired teen think deeply. It's because he or she don't like violence. He guessed correctly, as Ajoka nodded his head, smiling lightly. Yes, I think alliance can be made if my guess is right. The four have known each other for long, and the three know better than doubt their green-haired friend. But this is the first time they held small doubt for his plan. XXXXXX, break, XXXXXX. Naruto and Kaguya hut. Sat cross-legged on top of a tree, Naruto exhaled a big sigh and opened his eyes that now can be seen have blue marking around it instead of orange. It's saddening that he didn't have contract with Toad anymore, as it forcefully teared when he arrived in this world, but at least he still can use his Sage mode without any problem. And it's not weakened at all. This world is more complicated than I thought. He muttered while gazing at the sky, feeling content by seeing clouds hovering around. In Elemental Nation, using Sage mode with a bit of Karama Chakra he can sense one nation without any problem. This powered up more when he and Karama partnered up, and while it sounds simple, he is sure he can sense half of Earth at that time. Then it advanced again when he gains Hagoroma Chakra that represent light. Naruto is sure he already deity level at this time. The reason, because he is sure he can sense the full Earth at that time, though very blurry, which he now can guess because he lack human belief on him. Gaining Yin Chakra of Hagoromo, then Ra Chakra of 9 Baijuyo. His need of human belief and prey is no more. His senses also are more sharper even without using Sage mode, Q for inward cute dance here, and what he felt just now, make him realize how big this world is. Sure, that the only dimension that's surrounded by dimension gap is only one, but in this dimension, there are many sub-dimensions, which he is sure the palace for many gods. A soft grin slowly creeps into his lips, at the same time, some part of his blue orbs gain a malicious crimson color. Naru. Dinner is ready. Snapped back into the real world, Naruto happily jumps off from the tree and began to run into his and Kaguya house, never noticed the change just now, as it also gone completely before Kaguya can notice. Wait for me. XXXXXX, break, XXXXXX. Tomorrow. This morning, Kaguya is happy, her mood increased drastically onto the roof. No, make it into the sky. The reason of it is rather simple for normal people. Usually, Naruto would wake up before Kaguya to train his deity's power and his daily jutsu practices. But not today it seems, as Kaguya can see her Naru still asleep in her embrace, cutely snuggles at her clothed bosom. If this is an illusion, she doesn't want to awake. MNNNN. When her Naru letting out such a cute voice, Kaguya breath began to get ragged as she leans down, intent to wake him with a good morning kiss. It's going to be their first good morning kiss. Slowly, but surely her lips closing the distance with him, her eyes locked onto his cute sleeping face. Just as their lips almost touching each other, Kaguya eyes widening in disbelief. It's because she felt 4 signatures entered her and her Naru domain. Thought to ignore it cross Kaguya mind for a second, and the goddess tempted to do just that. However, her Naru would disappoint in her if he ever knows. So with such heavy heart and gritted teeth, Kaguya gets off from the bed and turned into a blur, dashing to where she felt the signature is. Her 3 eyes glowing angrily, more so the third one, her Rheinscheringen. These damn bats. XXXXXX, break, XXXXXX. Few hundred meters away, 14s can be seen. So how did we start anyway? The redhead on the group said, both hands tangling behind his head as if he didn't just enter the red zone for 3 races. I don't know. Nor do I. But the one without fear is not only Surtsk it seem, as Fabian and Sirafal look as calm as they can be. Notice their 4th member just keep silent. Surtsk glanced to Ajoka and can see him tapped his chin gently, deep in thought. What's on his mind this time? Asking that inside his head, the redhead slung his arm on his friend's shoulder, breaking him from his thought. Yo Ajuka, what we are going to do now, this is your plan after all. At first, Ajuka looked forward with narrowed eyes. His response to Surtsk sound grave. We are going to kneel, and don't look up until Primordial told you so. So he just does that, leaving his friends looked at him with funny eyes. It was then they felt threatening aura that make their heart as if going to stop, coming at them at fast speed. No word said as the three following suit and kneel, their forehead pushed to the ground, face sweating heavily. That was first. Is the thought that crossed Kaguya's mind when she already stood in front of the four devils, seeing them knelt at her like low creature they are. Some of her angs vanish, though only slightly. What's your business coming here, devils? The four shivered at her demonic tone, even the usually stoic Sirafal. Gulping down his saliva from fear, Surtsk decided to be the one said the reason they come here. Lord Primordial. We come here to ask for your help to put a stop on this useless war, because we already tired of losing family members. Silence is the answer they get from her. It seems they mistook her for her darling Naru. However, after digesting their request, Kaguya have rather complicated look on her face. Her Naru is lonely, his heart still held the sadness for cannot goes back to elemental nation. The only friends he has here is only God of the Bible and, much to her complain, as she wanted to be more, her. Thinking for a full minute, she in the end made her decision. Raise your head, devils. Hope filled the four hearts as they do that and let a soft gasp at the tall beautiful goddess in front of them. Though they also shiver at her third eye that glaring at them, which at the same time pulsing with such power. Follow me. With a blur and shockwave, Kaguya then dashed to the way of her little hut with her love. Her decision is made, and she would give friends for him, and if these four decide to betray him, she could always kill them off, then console her Naru to get some. As for the four in question that didn't know the goddess' dark mind, they grinned like a fool, except Sirafal that only let out tiny smile. Let's go guys, let us finish this war. Surtsk shout as he let his devil wings spread and take off after the Primordial, his three friends following suit with a chorus of yes. XXXXXX, break, XXXXXX. Several minutes later. Naruto just sat under the shade of a big tree with closed eyes, feeling content when he felt nature embrace him gently like a parent would to their children. However, he felt something strange with his sense. Kaguya is blurring to this way, behind her is four devils, as if chasing her. Deepening his sage mode, Naruto can sense these five feelings. Kaguya is happy, but thinking of something sadistic, if her inner glee that he can feel can be used as proof. The four devils is also happy for something he cannot deduce. Oh well, it's not like sage mode can read minds anyway, only the feeling of living beings. At no times, Kaguya arrived in front of him, then smiling at him lovingly like usual. He felt the tiniest of blush crept to his cheeks. Naru, you awake. Her smile widens, as if forgetting about the devils that following her for a second. Would you like a tea? Naruto nodded, smiling thankfully at her while deactivating his sage mode. She's so kind. Sometimes he pondered on why she's cared so much for him and why she's always determined to pamper him. But oh well, it must be what people mean by true best friend. So Kaguya entered their little house to make him some tea, and at this very moment the four devils appeared and descend several meters away from him. They look confused at where the Primordial gone to, at the same time they also wonder who is the otherworldly cute girl in front of them. The redhead, which Naruto guessed as the leader by the look of respect the other three showed for him, then takes a step forward, and with polite smile asked him. Excuse me little girl, but this place is dangerous, are you lost? Blinked for several times, Naruto looked around, then looked at Surtsk with Title's head cutely while pointing at himself. You talk to me Databia. Slightly blushing, Sirafal is the one taken step forward this time, then leaned forward while trying to look cute as possible to create the image of big sister. Yes, you see, here is very dangerous and cute girl like this shouldn't be in this place. At the background, her three friends looked at Sirafal with strange eyes. Ajuka, you know what happened to our usual cold Sirafal? Surtsk whispered, making the green-haired male tapped his chin for a bit, then answered his friend question. You know her, she expected a sister, but never got it, so seeing such a cute defenseless girl, I believe this is her suppressed Onisama attitude. While the three males devils talking about how cute Sirafal look right now, Naruto stared at the girl in question blankly, not knowing it only made him look cuter. Sirafal resist the urge to glomp the little girl like a professional. But this is my house. Four devils blinked and got realized look. The girl must be human that the primordial taken care in kindness, and the reason she rampaging through all the war is to make sure this cute girl is safe and sound. So smile kindly, Seraphal's sure the primordial is inside that little house she can see and decide to ask the cute girl. My bad, then can I ask whether we four can talk with the primordial? You know, the woman that takes care of you. This girl seen them descend from the sky and did not freak out, so she at least have knowledges about the supernatural. From blank, Naruto expression turned downright deadpanned. However, at this time, Kaguya comes out from inside the house, bringing a tray that holds a tea, which she placed beside the girl like a servant. I think you four misunderstood. Holding the tray, Kaguya stood beside her Naru like a trained and protective maid. Primordial you want to meet is not me, but my Naru, which you also misunderstood for girl. He is a male, I assure you. She's not a lesbian, and not even a bisexual, so when she heard that her Naru called as girl by these devils, she's offended. She like cute and beautiful boy, not girl, and never will. As for the four devils, they have a disbelieves eyes and slack jaw, again, except Sirafal that only got slightly widen of eyes. They still scream as loud, though. W what? I think I understand. Now inside the house, Naruto said while taking a sip of his tea, his eyes closed after heard the full story of the four. He got small respect for them at their determination and screw anything attitude to protect their families. That somehow reminds him of himself after all. So the four devils waited and waited in silence for several minutes. However, Naruto didn't seem going to say anything more. And from impatient, Surtsk forces himself to speak, palm tightly clenched. See, can you help us? Naruto eyes opened, and it held such compassion as he stared at the four devils, but merely focused to Surtsk for now. His tone, though, filled with nothing other than sadness. I can't, after all, who am I to stop it? He's not being pessimistic, it's just since he gained Suzuki Yin Chakra he can see more logic than before, wherever he usually just go punch something and make peace. It's also the time he got his pure white hair. It seemed with his Uzumaki blood, which held such potent DNA of Hag Oromo, after he gains Hag Oromo full chakra, he basically and literally is at Satsuki right now. Kaguya said so herself, thus his pure white hairs. Why can't it just red? He doesn't know, but honestly, he felt a bit upset about that. As for Surtsk, he clenched fist tighter until it white. Please, surely with your power it was possible. Naruto only shakes his head, and his next words pretty much make the four depressed. If power alone is enough to make peace, I wouldn't just sat here and do nothing. It was short, but he knows what the cute primordial mean. He's nobody to the three sides. Sure, he has power, and it can stop the war. But it's only delaying the inevitable. Peace would never come to the three sides if it's only like that. Grudge after all, run deep in one's soul and latched like a parasite. And in the end, suppressed people would rebel and start wars all over. It's never-ending cycle of hatred. However, Surtsk didn't lose the light in his eyes as he steps back, then slammed his own head to the ground, much to his friend's shock. Please. Anything is okay. I just don't want to come back home and seeing my mother crying in grief for losing a family anymore. Here he paused, body shaking in anger. I want to protect my family better. Some surprise can be seen on Naruto's eyes, followed that is a ghost of a smile. He's like this guy. How about you three? The godling asked to Surt's friends, and their response, much to his respect, is serious nods, eyes filled with determination. Then, what did you four think of becoming my pupils? Four devils widened their eyes in shock, even Kaguya at the suddenness of that question from her Naru. Notice the four look, he scratched his cheeks with some blush, creating cute image. Well, I may not be able to stop the war, but I can give you strength to protect your family better. Smiling lightly, Naruto titled his head, so how is it? The devils can't help but got a mind numb, cannot think straight. They want to get help from Primordial, and even the tiniest help would be much appreciated. But they never thought that they are going to be asked whether they want to be his pupils. It's just mind-blowing to them. But still, fearing he is going to take back his words only because they take too long to answer, the four shouted at the same time. Yes. Naruto cutely giggles here, founding their antics is cute. He doesn't know if he does the right thing or not. Nor the fact he knows the consequences for doing this. But one thing he sure as hell is. He rather goes bury himself and die than let the fire in these four devils dimmed. It's been a month since Naruto taken the four devils under his wings. And let just said, they didn't disappoint him much. You need to do better than that chilly head. When he said he going to go give them power enough to protect their family, he didn't joke around. And that's why at the moment Surtsk that called as chilly head gritted his teeth, trying his best to lift his arm to give a punch to his teacher. His arms didn't heed to his mind though. How can they? 10,000 sits up, push up and back up all for warming up only. Then their teacher forces them to fly as fast as they can be within 100-meter diameter while dodging all the energy bullets he shoots into them. It's almost impossible, despite being devils they are. Small break, then continued again with one-on-one battle where their goal is to defend from their teacher as long as they can. Let just said the only things they got is bruised, cut wound, and painful cough of blood. This was their courses every day. Their teacher didn't have any restraint when teaching them it seemed. Come on arms. Move. Gritting his teeth more, Surtsk glared hand at his own hands, and fortunately for him, this time his arms moved a bit. Smack. However, unfortunately, Naruto that stood in front of the redhead found it was a good time to give a hard punch to his hard-willed red-haired student. Obviously creating a small shockwave when flesh met flesh. GHHK. Like a rocket, Surtsk launched into a tree, breaking it into half. Then another. And another. Without mercy, trees after trees split into half as in the end, Surtsk planted in a pretty massive rock, head limped with blood trailed from the side of his head. I already told you that you cannot take on my next level, even if you four ganged on me. Saying that softly, Naruto glanced to all his students one by one. Each of them has mild injuries and passed out, oh well. Creating a four clone, each Naruto carries his student to his house front yard and lay them side to side. Then sat in front of them, legs crossed. He took a glance at them with warm eyes. These four has impressed him with their willingness alone. Sure, they have good talent, but they never boast about it to anyone, even it only make them train twice as hard. And it's what make them good students in his eyes. He remembers when he asked them why they didn't train by themselves, cause surely they can go far even without him. And the answer made he smiled at that time. Talent? What good is that if I can protect anyone? Surprisingly, it comes from one cold Seraphal. Her eyes glared at the ground that day. It only makes him want to train them harder. To grant their wish. XXXXXX, break, XXXXXX. Half an hour later, 4 students of Naruto groggily wake up, their eyes opened and closed from the pain their body feel. Ehehe. Winced from another jolt of pain, the 4 change their attention to their giggling teacher, faces look offended. Seeing this, Naruto just smiles bigger. I give you guys 5-minute break before we start next part of training. Last part of training is like third part, only if the third is one-on-one, the fourth part, is team tag battle with Naruto against his 4 students at the same time. Their goal is to successfully hit their teacher. One time. And let just said unlike third part, they never got to hit him, whoever it is. Surtsk and the gang blanched, their bodies still not even healed yet and can't move that freely from pain. However, their eyes showed an unholy determination to hit their teacher, even going as far as glaring at him that just smiled innocently. Why such determination, you ask? I really hope some of you can hit me today, Chili Head, Moss Head, Baldy, and Sira-chan. That smile of him, no matter how beautiful or cute it is. The 4 soon gained twitching eyebrow as they glared more at him. Which, of course, only makes his smiles widen. The one successfully hit him, their teacher promised to not call them with these nicknames anymore. So, please do your best and don't force yourself, okay? It was pure worry that is seen in Naruto's eyes, worry for his students' well-being. But cannot stop the training cause these 4 surely going to upset if he does it. And seeing this heartfelt worry did the 4 died out their glare and looked to other way. Their teacher, sometimes confused them greatly. At a time, he is so childish that they aren't sure whether he is really a god or not. At another time he is so wise and comforting them with warming words. In training, he is a sadist that happy seeing them hurt. Though he has more commonly shown gentleness for them, worry when they hurt and give them such sweet smile when they do well in training. He is enigmatic, but the 4 loves him for he is anyway. He is like a gentle light when they surrounded by thick darkness. An oasis in the middle of desert. He gave them water when they feel thirsty. Of course, that was him. Kaguya. Let just said. No comment. Anyway, filled with determination once again, the 4 stared at their teacher and stood with determination oozed from each part of their body. We will. XXXXXX, break, XXXXXX. That night, Naruto sat on Kaguya's lap on their bed, the goddess arms wrapped around the boy in loving manner, with him just be comfortable, but eyes showing deep in thought look. Something bothered him, and Kaguya waited patiently while giving a small kiss on top of his head. She loves how silky his hairs felt and the smell of grape that's coming from it. And dense he is, Naruto just think this as her being affectionate to someone close to her. And several minutes later, he talks. Annie. Kaguya-chan. Stopped her gentle kisses to his head, Kaguya leaned her face down directly beside the boy's ear, her warm breath makes him slightly shiver for some reason. Yes, my Naru. It's been more than a month, and Naruto still can't help but gain a tinge of pink on his cheeks each time Kaguya call him with that personal call for him. It gives him the sense of wanted, but in a good way. He ignores his racing heart as he tries to calming himself. Do you think I'm doing a right thing? Taking students, I mean. Not many know the real him, which actually having a shy, yet gentle personality. Hell, it can be said only handful people know about such thing, more so about the genjutsu that hide his real body. The genjutsu in question is well placed by his grandma figure, Tsunade Senju, after some blood tests show that his body is not going to age it. Stuck in 50 feet, or one can say, a 12-year-old kid body. But shaking his head from straying thought, Naruto hands cutely clutched to Kaguya's large kimono sleeves, waiting for her answer. It took at least 4 seconds until Kaguya gently whispered to him. It depends on why are you asking, Naru? Her words is gentle. And suggesting? Making Naruto once again shiver for some reason he didn't know. If you think that you're not becoming a good teacher, then let me tell you that you did a good job teaching these devils. Slowly, Naruto squirmed shyly cause he felt Kaguya lips touching his ear, making his blush redder, but he still heard her all right. She's true, he did felt he is not good enough for his students, and this has been eating him up for a week already. Oh, sure, he already teaches Konohamaru in the past, but it was something that didn't even can be taken seriously, as he only teaches simple how to transform into nude girl with henge to the little grandson of Hokage. Well, not totally nude, cause it's no like he ever seen a nude woman before, and that's why when he do sexy no jutsu, the most of important part is covered with thick plume of smoke. Anyway, that's what he teaches to Konohamaru, and only that. Well, and raise Nan. That lead to his current dilemma, where he felt that he's not good enough for his 4 devil students. Oh, sure he felt slightly better at Kaguya kind words, but it was only slightly whether his heart still felt that he is not competent enough for his students. Really? Of course, I wouldn't lie to you Naru. Kaguya comforting words followed by her pulled her love closer her chest, where her endowed kimono covered breast mashed hard against the boy nape. And with it alone, the lucky boy's neck to lower jaw is swallowed by the goddess breast. And if he is red before, now Naruto face is truly crimson is color that make his mother's hairs pale in comparison. His problem just now as if forgotten as Naruto hands that clutch to the goddess sleeves trembles from nervousness. KK Kaguya-chan. The goddess feels it. Her Naru palms trembled while also putting some effort to push her arms away. And she ignores this as she keeps holding him tenderly and with so much love like he is the most important, yet fragile thing in the world. SSSSH don't be scared my Naru, I would never do anything bad to you. Her voice is so relaxing, calming, and loving. But there's an underlying tone that still makes Naruto palm trembling. Kaguya never notices this, but obviously notice her love shoulders is not so tense anymore waste no time to give a smooch to the boy heated cheek. Her palm gently caressing the boy cloth covered chest and stomach. The goddess expects many things, but her Naru shiver hard, then passed out with a massive blush from simple kiss is not one of it. At first Kaguya is silent, staring at her love in her embrace with a look akin to that of primal wanton. But suddenly it's gone, turn into gentle smiles as she cradles the boy in her arms. He's so cute. Oh, my Naru. She's not mad, not disappointed. Her eyes just show cares and love for the boy she cradle. I love you. Naru. XXXX, break, XXXX. Tomorrow. Today is a good day, and Naruto used this to train his students harder than yesterday. His heart already stopped worrying that he is a bad teacher, and he is thankful for Kaguya for it. The goddess in question currently standing several meters away and watching her Naru training his students with an unreadable gaze. Since this morning, her love refused to talk to her. Oh, sure he is having such a cute blush and venture his gaze away whenever she trying to talk to him. But not saying something back to her, this is unacceptable for the goddess. She is going to punishes him this night. Shiver. As if a bucket of cold water splashed to his body, Naruto found himself shivering for some reason. Which of course he ignores in favor to stare at his 4 students that already going through their training. Hellish it's not, but efficient nonetheless. Chilly head. Giving a warning, Naruto let a bullet of wind shoot from his palm to his red-headed student, making him grunted and caught the ball of wind. Splash. Surtsk destroyed it easily with one hand, then continued his one-handed push-up despite heavy layers of sweat that poured from his body. Seeing this Naruto nods, then one by one, doing the same to the other, but without any warning. They easily dodged, blocked, or parry all the thrown elements and continue to advance their body muscle training. Their sense awareness become much better than a month ago. But, like his body is merely illusion, Naruto form gone with a blur, even his energy signature cannot be sensed by his students anymore as they become tense, but didn't dare to stop their exercises no matter what. Swish. With air-cutting sound, sphere of compressed wind goes to Surtsk form from above to his back. And only notice this at the last second, the redhead can only grit his teeth as the skin on his back got cut a bit. Swish. 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 Many projectiles followed after that, as one by one the students of Naruto found their body got scrapped from compressed wind. All of them. Except Sirafal, that gracefully dodging all of the harm projectiles that intend to harm her being. Eyes closed, but she let out such concentration aura that makes her friends can't help but held their breath from watching her alone. Now, one would ask what's so hard about dodging their teacher attack, cause as devil they can sense magical energy used in the attack, right? Well, no suck luck, because while it's true that they can sense their teacher magic on the attacks, the speed of the projectile in question is fast. Like fast. And the problem lay within they didn't know where their teacher is, so they cannot guess where the attack is going to come next. But it looks like Sirafal began to grasp what her teacher want them to learn, as she dodged most of the projectiles that come at her. Swish. 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 Again and again, almost invisible sphere of winds goes to Sirafal, and because this time there's many of them, add the fact all going to Sirafal, no one surprised that Sirafal can't dodge all of them and choose to block some instead. Cut. Despite already crossed both hands in front of her, the heir of Citri family can't help but winced as some sphere impacted with her defenseless stomach and back. She still stood tall though, and knowing what training she supposedly to do, she didn't say anything and just continued to do push-ups. Ahead of her, the form of her, cute, teacher formed, smiling proudly at her. But it's gone fast as Naruto stared at all four with, unknowingly cute, strict look. Come on all of you. Faster. Faster, it's not even 2000s yet. You want power? Work for it, Databia. Naruto students gain some red in their face, resisting the urge to laugh at their god teacher catchphrase, not wanting to upset him and make him punish them. But hey, their teacher is so cute sometime, even Sirafal, that's known for her cold attitude, said so, and that say something. So exercises harder they are, their hands crammed, their body heavily sweating. But of course, never giving up as they just keep going. After all, hey. This is just the first part of training for today after all. Dawn has come, and four devils currently laying on their back, staring at the sun that is going down, the sky filled with beautiful orange hue. Sat near them is Naruto, also looking at the same thing as his students, but sometimes took a glance at his students with a light smile. He pushed them harder than yesterday. Yet keep going they are. A small chuckle escaped from his supple lips, taking the attention of four devils to his way instantly. Sensei? Why are you laughing? The one asking that's Ajuka, his breathing ragged and rather hazard, but except that no visible hint of him being tired. Though of course, the truth is his body felt so much hurt that he is sure tomorrow he's still going to still feeling sore. This, of course, no different than his friends. Their body hurts, and no one is going to lie about it. Taking a glance at his green-haired student, Naruto smiles lightly. I'm just happy. Obviously, they want to go for a small jab that he is sadist for happy seeing hurt like this, but Naruto gives them no time as he continues to talk. I don't know how to say this, but you four really remind me of myself when I still kid. Of course, he said kid because he knows he is still young right now. Hell, he is younger than his students as they are mostly at 20 while him still 17, full of energy to protect what's precious to you. I honestly happy for you four. Seeing their teacher smiling like their parent would to them when proud, warm, and bubbly feeling coming out from their chest, as they also can't help but letting out a happy smile. Except Sirafal of course, as she just averted her gaze, but small pink hue can be seen on her cheeks. Surtsk and Falbium are the only one notice this as they snickers, making Sirafal sent them her cold glare, silencing them instantly. Comfortable, silent encompasses the five as they stare at the dawn sky. But of course, it's not long before Surtsk break the silence by asking something to his teacher. Something that he and his friends wanted to ask since weeks ago. Sensei, can we truly become strong? A hint of worry is there, making Naruto took another glance to his students one by one, and he can see all four have uncertainty in their eyes. Of course, why do you ask? He didn't call Surtsk's name, cause he wants to hear everyone reason, which they noticed almost immediately. They don't want to show this side of them to someone who's kind enough to train them without even knowing who they are at first. But really, they can't help it. It's just, can this war really stop? Ajoka is the one asked that. They become stronger, that's true. But really, all they want is this war to stop. Their parents expecting children and doing it every day to get it, and while devil's birth rate is rare, more so between two pure-blood devils, Ajoka and the other is afraid. They don't want their sibling to born in this war age. Naruto took a minute to think about his answer, and when the four almost giving up, seeing their teacher silent as meaning he also don't know, the whitehead said it. I believe. Anything can be achieved as long you do your best for it, Dadabia. His smile is so sincere and full of believing for his four students, making their heart bubbled in warm feeling. But fear is still there. And so one by one they confess what eating their mind lately. You're asking a bit too much, sensei. Again, it was Ajoka. His tone filled with sarcasm and dryness. I can't even protect my family by myself. Image of his kind uncle flashed through Surtsk's head, and just like his friend, the redhead also held a hint of sarcasm in his tone. We lack experience, and our enemy is nothing to scoff at. From one side is God and his seraph, then other side is governor of fallen angels. Falbium said in a surprising serious moment, his fist clenches so hard that it turned white almost immediately. And lastly, we are only kids, sensei, what can we do? It's not like we want this war to happen. Of course, it was Seraphal. Her tone so cold when she said what can we do, even filled with nothing but distaste for her own weakness. As the four said what eating their mind one by one, Naruto locked his attention to them with sad eyes. Trained by him there's no way they can defeated God or strongest fallen angel with 1 month alone. It even basically is simply a pipe dream. But of course, it's his duty as a teacher to guide them into these impossible dreams. The Shota Primordial takes a glance at Ajoka then. I only ask one thing of you four. And that's to believe in yourself and your friends. With these, I know you can go through any obstacles. Ajoka is one that's more logistic compared to his friends, and that's why he just averted his gaze away from his teacher. He really wanted to believe the words of the one teaching him. But do you think I am always this strong? Their teacher's sudden words snapped his student's attention toward him with wide eyes, and seeing this, he smiled in melancholy. I once weak like you four. No, I'm far weaker than human at this current age. His students obviously wanted to say their disbeliefs in his words. After all, he is a god, and even the weakest god can defeat human easily. But when they see their teacher staring at his palm, then tightened it with narrowed eyes of frustration, they decided to shut their mouth for now. I'm very weak, craving for any attention I could get. My dream mocked by everyone, they said it's impossible, they said I won't be strong enough to fulfill my dream. The boy's eyes snapped at his four students, making their breath softly hitched from the intensity inside these soft blue orbs. If you could say my dream is to be a Satan, let me tell you. In the end, 5 of these Satan kneel before me and let me lead their armies to the war. It's a cage though, not Satan, but there's no need to say something that his students obviously wouldn't know. And while the 5 cage didn't kneel before him like he said, they did leave everything to him. Simply said, during the war against Madara, he is the Elemental Nation Alliance supreme leader. Softly, Naruto smiled when he sees that Ajoka's eyes become wide, along with the other 3, but fire ignited only within Ajuka eyes, and this is what make the former blonde smiled. Turned his attention toward Surtsk, Naruto think on how to tell this one, but in the end just shrugged his shoulders. Why should he, Naruto Uzumaki thinks. Aren't that's why you train right now? I maybe don't know the feeling of losing family, because I never had them in the first place. Surtsk that currently looking down, winced at that, same with other three. But if you think I don't know the feeling of lost, let me tell you I know that feeling pretty well. And you know what I do when I feeling that, I'm moping. Just like you, but it's mostly several days. After then I train and train, again and again until my bone break, my body bleeds and cannot move anymore. Do you know why? Clasped his hands on his red-headed student, Naruto asked gently, only getting a shaken head. Surt's eyes shadowed by his hairs and he just keeps looking down, frustrated because he kinda envied his teacher fast recovery from the loss of someone precious. His teacher next words, though, made his heart drummed hard, his eyes widen and body shaking in realizing manner. It's so I don't lose anyone ever again Tobia. It's not only Surtsk that shaken from the former Jinchuriki passion-filled words. Ajuka, Falbium, and even Sirafal also began to shake, their breath labored as if all of the passion their teacher held saturated the air itself, pressuring the devils. Moping around won't bring back the dead. So I trained hard, again and again, even if it breaks me. Simply so I can protect the remaining people that I cared about, do you understand chilly head? Even Naruto himself cannot help but having ragged breath after screamed all of that, and fortunately, his words getting through Surt's head, as with misted eyes the redhead locked his eyes toward his sensei eyes, nothing but determination inside these powerful orbs, making Naruto inwardly smiled proudly. I understand sensei, thank you so much. Now has his heart steeled, Surtsk cannot help but grinned, so big that his teeth glistening from the light hitting it. He loses his uncle, the one that has been so kind toward him since he's nothing but a little kid. He loses some of his clansmen, but no more. He would train, so hard that when he finished, even for current Satan would tremble from his aura alone. He would. No, he will make his teacher proud. The newly deity shivered as memories of green-wearing spandex man crossed his mind, screaming about youth, and running through the Konoha village several times with nothing but his hands. He hoped. Surtsk won't be like that. Ever. Dismissed such a horror thought from his head, Naruto grinned as he turned his attention toward Falbium that already shaken enough from his previous speech. He just needs a simple push more. Experience. Don't make me laugh badly, who need experiences if you're strong enough to defeat everyone with pinkies alone. Matched grin can be seen on the black-haired male devil face, as without any shame he laughed. Yes, so true sensei. Ha 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 ha. Yup, simple push, right. Taking a deep breath, Naruto glanced at his last student and the only one that's female. Feeling her teacher gaze at her, Sirafal averted her gaze for a bit, but in the end looked straight into his kind eyes with usual blankness, ready to imparted all of his next words into her heart. Knowing what's on her mind, Naruto just sat cross-legged, then motioned for his students to sit across from him, which they do without any useless question. Honestly, if you for talking about young, this teacher of you is younger than all of you. Smiled ever softly, Naruto inwardly cackled at his student's jaw-dropping and obviously disbelieves expression. You four didn't need to trust me. But let me be simple, do you ever heard God called Naruto? The young primordial god delicately raised his eyebrow at his students, getting there silent, simply because they cannot deny his statement. If you want to meet with old primordial, most of you should know Kaguya, she's a deity of the moon after all. Princess of the moon from Shinto mythology, but he didn't need to say that as his students slowly nodded, already knowing such common knowledge, though their eyes still filled with hints of disbelief at the fact their teacher is younger than them. Just what kind of training their teacher endured to reach his current level if what he said about him at first far weaker than human at this age. Despite shivering at their own different imaginations, the four devils can't help but respected their teacher more inwardly, placing him on the level of their parents. His age be damned, he is strong, and despite a hint of envies is there, it crushed almost immediately as the four devils inwardly promised to surpass their teacher. However, four pair of eyes turned their attention back toward the white-haired primordial that gently smiling, on his hand is a cup of tea that they are sure is not there previously. That's not what not I want to said, only me want to come clean toward you four. Knowing what he means, the four devils nodded respectfully, their sitting position shifted into that of more comfortable as they're readying themselves for their teacher next words like a good students they are. Taking a soft sip of his drink, Naruto furrowed his eyebrows and looked straight at his students. Age is nothing but a number. Do not ever underestimate someone based from their age alone. 10 years old could be a kid soldier, trained from 4 years old or even lower, and when they 12 years old, they're experienced enough to kill anyone that even for a second underestimated them. Image of Gaara flashed through Naruto's mind, as he closed his eyes from the flood of bad memories. And several seconds passed, he opened it again, then looked into his students' eyes once again. You devils can live for thousands years. Do not do such a stupid mistake like underestimate someone who's younger than you, even if they are hundreds or thousands years younger, understand? The devils nodded seriously at that, making Naruto can't help but smiled at them. Good. Now how about some stories? After that, for several hours Naruto and his students just keep chatting. Sometimes he told them his stories when he's a kid, while they laughed at hilarious moment and crying at the sad moment. All the while, Kaguya looks at them, specifically her Naru with a soft smile. And he dared to call himself a bad teacher. XXXX, break, XXXX. Later that night. On the midnight, hours after his students back toward their home in the underworld, Naruto can be seen still standing on the outside, staring at the moon with unreadable eyes. Behind him is the form of the goddess of the moon herself, Kaguya. Naru. It's already late, let's sleep. Kaguya words are soft, and because now there's only two of them here, Naruto took a glance at her. Or so Kaguya though, as her Naru in the end averted his gaze again and ignored her, an adorable blush on his cheeks. Kaguya feminine eyebrow twitched softly, and she really resisted the urge to punish her Naru currently, knowing he could refuse to sleep with her if he's become too scared of her. Actually, both of them didn't need sleep that much, as they are, after all, a god. But there's just no way Kaguya would lose her cuddle time with her adorable Naru. Sad for her, at this time a bright flash of light suddenly manifested, and coming from it is a form of familiar god, getting both primordial attention, with the boy raised his eyebrow in a questioning manner. Yahweh, do you have any business coming here? Naruto says that by no mean because he didn't like his friend coming, but it was the first time the silver-haired god coming this late. And obviously, it could be because something bad has happened. His only respond is only for Yahweh scratched his cheek, all the while laughed nervously. Well, I've a favor that I need to ask of you. Not one to beat around the bush, knowing his friend has a short temper sometimes, Yahweh once again letting out an embarrassed laugh. This time, Naruto eyebrow flew until the side of it cannot be seen anymore, his arms folded on his chest, though it was not to show any haughty as his next word to Yahweh pretty comforting in manner. You don't need to be nervous Yahweh, I try to help as long it is within my power to do so. The God of Bible takes a small sigh of relief here, though his eyes still showed a small amount of nervousness. Well. You know my two youngest seraph right? Tilted his head in adorable manner, the boy didn't realize it made the goddess behind him licked her lips in a sexy manner. Yes, you call them Michael and Gabriel, so what about them? Ehehe. Here, Yahweh nervousness became much obvious, making Naruto slowly gain a sweat drop at the side of his head. Can you train them too? The sweat drop became much bigger, followed my small twitching of eyebrow as the young primordial god stared at his friend with deadpanned expression. You realize I've 4 devil students, right? Another nervous chuckles is his only answer, making Naruto in the end slapped his own forehead in an exasperated manner. God of the Bible he is, he said. Honestly, Naruto never felt so much relief from the fact he never prayed to gods as long as he lived as human. Well, except these pray before he eat, of course. However, to him whole itadakimasu is more like mannerism, along with thanks for the food after finishing eating. So yeah, he never prayed to any gods. Turned his attention back toward his friend, Naruto gave the silver-haired god questioned look. What you said to these 2 though? Did they even want to be trained by me? Naruto knew Yahweh, and from what he knew, Yahweh wouldn't even come here for a favor unless this 2 seraph already accept to be trained by primordial that literally stopped their war cold. At Naruto questions, Yahweh averted his face away in an embarrassed manner. Well. I told them that they will be trained by my brother from tomorrow on for several months. Years after years experience seeing the unexpected is the only reason Naruto easily resisted the urge to blatantly drop his jaw like some stupid person, though he did let out a small breath intake to show his surprise. Kaguya seems more professional, as her surprise can only seen by how her small eyebrow raised delicately. Seeing these reactions, so-called God of Bible tried to defend himself by flailing his arms childishly. But, Naruto, you have the same domain like me, almost same hair, and even almost same attire, so telling them that you are my brother is pretty much believable. Again, Naruto slapped his own forehead, he could already tell this would become a headache. With a groan, the small primordial asked one last question. Why brother? Cause from what I know, your seraph will do anything you asked of them, what with the lame excuse to be a small patch of pink can be seen on Naruto cheeks after he realized his own catchphrase, and it got darker when he senses Kaguya already stood behind him and for some reason began to trail her sleeves-covered palms on his back. What he cannot see though, Kaguya already has a full-blown blush and ragged breath as she keeps touching her narrow body part. And not noticed this, or just totally ignored it, Yahweh told the young primordial his reason. In my defense, Michael and Gabriel didn't like the idea being away from the heaven that much, but once I told them about their uncle, they agreed 100% immediately. Bit back another groan, Naruto cannot deny that valid point. Okay, but they're not a warmongers, right? I don't want them to fight with my students at first sight. Deadpan from Yahweh is his only answer, though Naruto cannot say anything to respond as he suddenly shivering from Kaguya palm that for some reason already on his bare back. Of course I knew that, who do you think am I, Otauto? Yahweh tone filled with nothing but sarcasm, and as he heard this, Naruto bit back with his own deadpan tone, though blush still covering his cheeks from the goddess ministration toward his body. Just now, Naruto is sure he felt Kaguya pinched his butt. Glad you know that then, Naizen. And with that, Yahweh flashed back to his heaven, leaving Naruto that stares at the place where the god of Bible stood just now with eyes as if betrayed. Oh Naru. Naruto shivered at the tone of his friend, but with one of her hands wrapped tightly on his waist, he can do nothing except to whimper with red face. You've been a bad boy today, ignored me repeatedly. With Kaguya other palm caressing his butt cheek, Naruto realized her plan and whimpering more, his face turned redder. So turning his body until he faces Kaguya, Naruto sleeve-covered palm playing with each other, him in question looking at the ground in an obviously adorable shy manner. Thus, because he's looking at the ground, Naruto didn't see that Kaguya face becomes much red and her breath more ragged. Her 2 hands that wrapped behind his back freely groping the boy's butt cheek, much to his embarrassment. I am sorry Kaguya-chan. Please don't punish me. Kaguya smiled, then hugged her narrow closely to her chest. Promise you won't ignore me again. Naruto widens his eyes a bit at his best friend's words, but soon smiles along and wrap his two lithe arms around Kaguya neck. I promise. XXX, break, XXX. Tomorrow. Now stood in front of his four devil students, Naruto has an unreadable look on his cute face. Which makes the four devils in question raise their eyebrows after notice this. How can he tell them? These four are devils, no matter that they have a dream for a piece, if two angels appear so suddenly they would tense and ready to attack. And the worst, they would attack immediately. Naruto, for one, did not like to lie, former ninja or no. Maybe it's because for 12 years not knowing why he's being hated, and each time he asked his Jiji he just would say something that obviously did not answer his question. Maybe it was 16 years not knowing who's his own parents, and the one knew never even hinted that they knew his parents. And surely, if not because he meet his parents remain souls in his mindscape, till now he wouldn't even know who are they. And now, as a teacher, he cannot show a bad example for his students. Taking a deep breath, Naruto sat cross-legged suddenly, and hot-headed he is. Surtsuke is the one asking first. Sensei, aren't we gonna try dash? Sit. The redhead pouted when his teacher cut him off, but quickly he following his teacher order, part of the reason also because he noticed that his three friends already sat since their teacher told them so. Jerk. Saying that in a childish manner, his word pointed at his three friends for not tell that they already sat, leaving him argued with his teacher without anyone backing him up. Three snickers, and Surtsuke huffed while folded his arms on his chest, at the same time averted his face to another way in an obvious sulking manner. Sound of a cleared throat makes four attentions turn into Naruto, with him staring at them with narrow eyes, but calm demeanor. To you four, there's something I forgot to say since you four become my students. Notice their sensei is being serious at the moment, four devils stop playing and give their teacher all of their attention. Cue for Naruto to continue, and his next words, pretty much shaken his students. God of Bible is my friend. It was obvious that the four devils is scared, it is seen from how their pupils suddenly dilated and shaking. However, it took no longer than 1 minute until they calmed down and staring at their teacher with full attention. He gave them power, knowledge and new dream to achieve, there's just no way he would hurt them just because he's being friend with the God of the Bible. And seeing this, soft smile appears on Naruto's face. From this, I have a good news and bad news, which one would you four like to hear first? The four glanced at each other, then the other three glanced at Ajoka and nods at him, which he returned. Ajoka is the one made the decision as he turned his attention to his teacher. We would like to hear the good news first, sensei. Naruto nodded in understanding, as he then gives another smile toward his four students. The good news is, God is tired for war and pretty much want all of this bloodshed to stop. Happiness quickly filled his four students' eyes. After all, why shouldn't they? Their dream is for their sibling to born safely outside this wartime, and with one of the three leaders back out, there only two remain that need to be taken care of. And the bad news. Four devils flinched when their teacher reminded them that he has another news, and this one would be bad. God asked me favor yesterday, which is to train his two youngest seraph along with you four. Surtsuke and his three friends obviously face faulted here, their face basically says what's bad about that. Taking another sigh, with a pout Naruto flicked his students' forehead one by one, making them clutches into it painfully. Think clearly you four. Standing up, Naruto has a chiding pose toward his four students, making them inwardly amused. It may not be a bad news by itself, but what if even one hint of you four training along with Angel got sniffed to be? The same could be happening with Michael and Gabriel too. But these four has the backing of their greatest leader. These four devils, though. Even the tiniest amount of light energy with them could make them get all devils in underworld suspicious. After all, with Primordial stopping the war, there's no way these four fighting against Angel or Fallen Angel. That's also the reason Naruto never used light-based attack against his students, despite it would be good for resistance training. And in the end, Surtsk and co realized this too, as their face become grim, even Seraphil's. Then, what should we do, sensei? Falbium asked grimly, making Naruto titled his head for a bit and scratched his cheek, but smiling reassuringly at the four in the end. None of you need to do anything. It's my responsibility as a teacher to protect you all after all, Tabia. There's something in that smile that make the four devils become worried at their teacher instead reassured, but he never let them ask as their teacher then walked toward the nearest clearing and stand there with hands clasped behind his back, humming softly. Come here you four, it's time to greet your new friends. Glanced at each other for a second, the four in the end scrambled and one by one standing behind their teacher. Eyes narrow, and body tense, as if ready to attack with even slight hint of malice. Not even half a minute later, a bright light covered the clearing in front of Naruto, blinding his students for a bit and making them more tense. Uncle!